I don't owe nothing. He got all his songs already. How you think he got so hot? Came out with all them tapes. I did that. I put them hooks together. I made incredible music. All he did was rhyme 16.
Well, you know,
I made incredible. I made the hooks. I made the melodies.
Yes.
I made the shit, dog. I'm the man. I banged it just enough to get my room so I could ram his shit up, ram it up in there. Right? My window was there. He tried to grab, so he came in the window. Oh, compare the names. Look, Max Biggervale, Jim Jones. I don't even add up. That's not that's not on my level.
Max B, aka Max Biggervale. We know Biggervale stands for Big Jig and Pac, right? But where did the name? Yeah.
I've already. I don't owe nothing. He got all his songs already. How you think he got so hot? Came out with all them tapes. I did that. I put them hooks together. I made incredible music. All he did was rhyme 16.
Well, you know,
I made incredible. I made the hooks. I made the melodies.
Yes.
I made the shit, dog. I'm just enough to get my room so I could ram his shit up, ram it up in. Right? My window was there. He tried to grab, so he came in the window. I punched him in the face.
Right around that time, Max B gets found guilty on 9 of 11 counts, including felony murder. And he gets sentenced to, was it 75 years?
Harlem's streets have always produced legends, but some stories aren't about who made it. They're about who got used, betrayed, and burned along the way. Max B and Jim Jones weren't just label mates, they were brothers. For a moment, it seemed unstoppable. Max crafted the hooks, the melodies, the sound that made Jim Jones a superstar, but the world only saw one name. What happens when loyalty turns into a weapon and a friend becomes your worst enemy? This is the story of a ghostwriter who became a ghost, of a bond that broke so violently it sent shockwaves through the streets of New York. From prison walls to mixtape battles, from underground hustles to billion-dollar industry moves, Max B's journey is a mix of genius, betrayal, and raw ambition. Before the bloodshed, before the diss tracks, before the headlines, there was music, trust, and family. But the moment that trust shattered, nothing would ever be the same. The question isn't just what happened, it's how far one man would go when the world tried to steal everything he built. Charlie Wingate, who would later become Max B, wasn't born with a silver spoon. He was born into survival mode. Harlem's Abraham Lincoln housing projects weren't just his neighborhood, they were a battleground. From day one, life tested him. His mother battled crack addiction and eventually ended up behind bars, leaving young Charlie in the care of his grandmother. The streets didn't wait for anyone. They demanded toughness, cunning, and the ability to adapt. Even in that chaos, Max found his escape in music. The boys' choir in Harlem became his sanctuary, and it was there that he discovered his hypnotic, melodic flow, the sound that would later be called wavy. While other kids were learning to hustle on street corners, Max was crafting hooks, melodies, and the kind of music that could stop a block in its tracks. Music wasn't just a talent, it was a weapon, a ticket out, and a way to survive. But the streets always have a claim, and Max would learn that lesson the hard way. In 1997, a robbery charge landed him in prison for 8 years. 8 years of watching the world move on without him, 8 years of rage and ideas building in silence. By the time he walked out, Charlie Wingate was gone. In his place stood Max B, a man with a name inspired by legends and a hunger that couldn't be tamed. Prison has a way of changing people, and for Max B, it became a crucible. 8 years behind bars could have broken him, but instead, it forged something sharper, something calculated. He spent that time observing, learning, and planning. Every beat, every melody, every hook he had imagined in the streets now became a strategy for survival and, eventually, dominance. By the time he walked out in 2005, he wasn't just Charlie Wingate anymore, he was Max Bighelli, a name stitched together from his idols, Biggie, Tupac, Machiavelli, and Jay-Z. The name carried their legacy, and he carried their hunger. The Harlem he returned to was different. The Diplomats, led by Jim Jones, controlled the scene, and if you wanted to make noise, you needed their stamp. But Max wasn't asking for permission. He had something they didn't: raw talent and a wave no one could replicate. Cameron, a key figure in Harlem's rap network, recognized that spark and reintroduced him to Jim Jones. Suddenly, Max B was back in the game, signed to Bird Gang Records and ready to make his mark. His first mixtape, $1 Million Baby, dropped in 2006, and the streets felt the hurricane. No radio play, no major label push, just pure Harlem grit and the wavy sound that would come to define a generation. Max B had returned not just to compete, but to change the game entirely. Once Max B hit the streets again, it quickly became clear he wasn't just another rapper. He was the secret weapon behind Harlem's biggest hits. His hooks were infectious, his melodies hypnotic, and his presence on a track could turn a song into a street anthem. Jim Jones got the spotlight, the fame, and the money, but behind every hit was Max's wave, carefully crafted in the shadows. While the world danced to Jim's records, Max was the invisible force making it all happen. Stack Bundles, another rising star, joined the roster, and together with Max, Bird Gang looked unstoppable. Max wasn't just making music, he was elevating everyone around him. But the more he gave, the more he realized the harsh reality. Talent alone doesn't guarantee respect. Jim started seeing dollar signs, and Max's contributions were slowly being minimized. The hooks he created, the sound he perfected, the energy he poured into the tracks, all of it became Jim's claim. Despite the growing frustration, Max kept his focus. He knew the streets, he knew the culture, and he knew that influence mattered more than recognition. His wave was already spreading quietly through Harlem, but a storm was building. The very loyalty that had once bonded them would soon be tested in ways no one expected. Behind the fame and music, a darker story was about to unfold, a story of betrayal, revenge, and the kind of chaos that legends are made from. Just as Max B was rising, his life took a dark turn that would change everything. In 2006, his ex-girlfriend Gina Conway approached him with a plan involving Alan J. Plowden, a wealthy man rumored to be sitting on a mountain of money. Max allegedly teamed up with Gina and his stepbrother, Kelvin Sims Leome, to pull off a clean hit on Plowden's house. On paper, it seemed simple. In, grab the cash, get out. Reality, however, had other plans. They arrived late, and Plowden wasn't alone. Guests were present, tension spiked, and panic set in. In a split second that would haunt Max for years, Sims pulled the trigger. David Taylor was executed, shot point blank. What was meant to be a robbery turned into murder, and Max immediately became the prime suspect. Gina quickly flipped, testifying against him and painting him as the mastermind behind the crime. Suddenly, the man who had just redefined Harlem's sound faced $2 million bail and felony murder charges. Every beat, every hook, every melody Max had worked on couldn't save him. While he sat in jail, Max realized the stakes were higher than the streets. This was survival against the law, and every move could be his last chance at freedom. And all the while, Jim Jones watched, calculating, observing. Every empire has cracks, and betrayal was lurking in plain sight. Max's life, his music, and his freedom hung in the balance. And one decision would set the stage for a war that would engulf Harlem itself. While Max B fought for his freedom behind bars, Jim Jones was making moves in the spotlight. In 2006, Jim dropped We Fly High Ballin', a track that exploded everywhere. Radio, clubs, MTV. The problem? Max claimed he had written the hooks, crafted the melodies, and built the wave that made the song a hit. And yet, not a single credit went to him. Behind the scenes, the man who had made Jim Jones sound like a superstar was watching his own creations fly under someone else's name. Then came the offer. Jim promised to get Max out of jail, but there was a catch. Max had to sign over his publishing rights and agree to a 6-album deal, effectively surrendering everything he had built. Desperation can force choices no one ever wants to make. Facing a murder charge with no clear way out, Max signed. Temporary freedom came at the cost of his music, his sound, and his wave. The moment he walked out of that cell, he realized the depth of the betrayal. Max had gone in as Jim's secret weapon, and he came out as his ghost. Every melody he had created, every hook he had perfected, now belonged to Jim. The streets that had once celebrated his talent now barely knew his name. It was more than a personal betrayal. It was a professional erasure, and Max wasn't the kind of man to let that slide. Betrayed but not broken, Max B went underground. He didn't retreat quietly, he planned retaliation. Linking up with French Montana, another Harlem spitter with his own grievances against Jim Jones, Max formed Coke Wave, a street movement fueled by raw talent, ambition, and pure spite. Without labels, without radio, without corporate backing, Max flooded the streets with free music. Mixtapes hit platforms like Mixtaps, and the streets responded instantly. His wave was spreading faster than ever, a ghostly presence reminding Harlem that he had never disappeared. Max's mission was clear: expose Jim Jones publicly and reclaim the respect that had been stolen. Diss tracks became weapons. Public Domain 3 mocked Jim and Jules Santana, branding them as fake artists who relied on Max's talent to shine. Lip Sync and I Know Them dudes Need Me torn to their credibility, painting them as frauds who couldn't survive without his melodies. But Max's boldest move came with She Touched It, a track where he claimed to have slept with Jim's girlfriend. The streets went wild, and Max's legend only grew while Jim's reputation took a massive hit. The conflict didn't stay confined to music. Tensions spilled onto the streets, escalating into real-world confrontations. Max allegedly rammed Jim's Bentley, escaped a potential ambush, and faced brawls at clubs where police K-9 units had to intervene. The underdog who had been erased by betrayal now became the man who humiliated Harlem's kingpin. Max B wasn't just winning rap battles, he was rewriting the rules, proving that influence isn't measured in fame or money, but in fear, respect, and the unstoppable spread of a wave. Even as Max B dominated the streets, the law was closing in. By June 2009, his past caught up with him in the form of a Bergen County courtroom. The charges were severe: felony murder, armed robbery, and a series of related counts that painted him as the mastermind behind a violent crime he may not have directly committed. The trial was intense, with his defense arguing that Gina Conway, the ex-girlfriend who testified against him, had an agenda of her own. But the prosecution painted a different picture: Max as the puppet master orchestrating chaos that ended in death. When the jury returned, the verdict was brutal. 9 of 11 counts were guilty, including felony murder. In September 2009, Max received a 75-year sentence, prison bars that would hold him until 2042 before even being eligible for parole. His freedom, his music, and his wave seemed frozen in time. Meanwhile, Jim Jones continued to profit off Max's creations. Every stream, every download, every play put money in Jim's pocket, a constant reminder of the betrayal. For Max, the streets, the culture, and the industry had all moved on without him. But the story didn't end there. In 2010, a small legal victory returned Max's publishing rights, a glimmer of justice. From behind bars, he released Vigilante Season in 2011, and his influence persisted. Artists like Kanye West, Drake, and Wiz Khalifa drew from his signature melodic wave, proving that even locked away, Max B's sound couldn't be silenced. The man behind the hooks was still shaping hip-hop, reminding the world that legends never truly die. They wait. Even from behind bars, Max B's influence rippled through the music world. His melodic wave became the blueprint for a generation of artists. Kanye West acknowledged his impact during the Waves album controversy, while Drake and Wiz Khalifa publicly credited him as an inspiration. Max wasn't just a rapper, he was a pioneer, shaping the sound, flow, and aesthetic of modern hip-hop. The signature hooks and hypnotic melodies that once elevated Jim Jones now fueled the careers of some of the biggest names in the industry. His story also became a cautionary tale about trust, loyalty, and the cost of betrayal in the music business. Jim Jones himself admitted Max had the potential to be bigger than Drake if he hadn't gone to prison, a rare acknowledgement of the talent lost to circumstance. Even as the streets and studios evolved, Max B's wave remained a benchmark for originality and influence. Beyond the notes and lyrics, Max's legacy was cultural. He inspired underground artists, mixtape movements, and street rap scenes, proving that real influence isn't always measured by fame or wealth. It's about innovation, authenticity, and leaving a mark that can't be erased. The wave he created didn't stop with his incarceration. It simply waited, quietly building momentum until the world was ready to feel it again. Max B had transformed from a ghost in the background to a living legend whose sound and style would echo long after the headlines faded. Today, Max B is a changed man. Behind bars, he found time to reflect on the choices, the consequences, and the cost of the life he once led. He's now a husband and father of 4, speaking openly about peace, forgiveness, and the lessons that prison taught him. The streets that once cheered his vengeance now wait to see how his next chapter unfolds. In 2023, French Montana and Jim Jones reconciled, squashing their own beef, but Max's story remains separate. The wounds from betrayal run deep, and even after years, some relationships can't be repaired. Yet the wave he started never truly died. It only waited for the right moment to crash back into the culture. November 9th, 2025 is more than a release date. It's the return of a legend, a sound that shaped a generation, and a man who defied erasure. The streets will be watching. The music industry will be watching. Because even after years of silence, the wave never stops. It waits. And when it returns, it's unstoppable.